Oh, what's up, guys? It's noname4505. Doing some OLT, not going so well. I'm gonna stream later today. Not when this video goes up, but like literally, like after I'm done recording this, I'm gonna stream. So hopefully things will go better, but I'm just a little rusty at the ORAS OU stuff, and I don't really know how to team build for ORAS, so it's like I bring one team that's covered against one thing, and then the ladder brings something else, and then I get destroyed by it. And then, because it's me, I end up getting like 5 matches with the same stuff. And because the way the ladder works, I lose like 60 points off that game. And then it takes me like 6 or 7 wins to climb back to where I was to only lose again. Which is why the ladder is very depressing and why the ladder is annoying, but it's content for you all, and it's a way for me to learn about ORAS. So I guess it's good in that regard, but yeah, Kratosmana, or Kratosmana, I don't know how to pronounce the name. But yeah, pretty respectable user. Ran into him on the ladder, or might be pulling a blue on us, who knows, but yeah. This is looking like Alakazam snack food. The Life Orb variant of Alakazam. I've actually on this team changed it to Sash, because assuming that I play properly, Manaphy, because I'm the CM Rain Dance one, should be more than enough to handle these types of teams. And the Focus Sash really helps me out versus offense, because I noticed with this team that I was losing a lot to stall, or not stall, offense. Like, those are the majority of where my losses came from with this team. And Sash Sam helps me a lot in that matchup, but in this particular matchup, having the Life Orb is actually gonna help me out a lot, because I outspeed pretty much everything, and my Life Orb attacks will OHKO or to a KO pretty much everything except for Slowking, which Shadow Ball, as you'll see in the match, does nearly 50 anyway. It does about 40 after leftovers, but it still does a lot to his team. So I have the bulky Spadef Dragon Tail Zard X, so Volcarona is not really going to be a problem. Diancie isn't really going to be a problem, because depending on what coverage move he has, I have Ferrothorn and Hippowdon to deal with that. And then of course Alakazam and Excadrill can outspeed, assuming that Sand is up, which he has Sand of his own. So depending on if he has Sandstream, then that's really good for Excadrill to sort of maintain his threats. Latios I'm not really scared of, because my Hippowdon has a lot of special defense, not full though. And I have Ferrothorn as well, and I highly doubt he has HP Fire Latios. I actually thought that he had HP Fire Diancie, but it turns out he doesn't, because I figured that might help him win with Slowking, but I guess he's just relying on Volcarona to do all that. But Slowking is probably the biggest threat. I didn't really think it was that big of a threat on Team Preview, but depending on what coverage moves the Slowking has and what set it is, it could actually be a very big problem for my team. Because like if it's Assault Vest, my team really struggles to break it. CM, depending on the coverage moves, might be an issue. That's actually probably the least threatening set to this team. And then like something like Specs or like Trick Room or Nasty Room would be very, very dangerous, because my only thing to maintain it would be Ferrothorn. But I only have knockoff, I don't have Power Whip, and then they carry Fire Blast to roast me. So yeah, Slowking's definitely the biggest problem, with Diancie coming in at number 2, and then maybe Volcarona at number 3, because Volcarona can be scary sometimes, even when you have checks and answers to it. So let's go ahead and get the game underway. So I'm going to lead with Charizard, because being in my normal form is very important for this game. Because what it allows me to do is be an answer to Volcarona, and because I have the bulk and I can resist his shit harder, it allows me to become an answer to Slowking, because now I take neutral from his water moves instead of super effective. and it just lets me be bulkier. The only thing that it makes me worst against is Diancie, but even then, like, you usually carry Diamond Storm anyway, so I'm still getting better. So I don't even know why I said that, but yeah, he ends up leading with Latios, probably predicting me to want to Mega up my Charizard as quickly as possible. So looking at team matchup right here, Manaphy was actually pretty useless in this matchup because he has Latios, like I mentioned before, I'm the bulky CM Rain Dance one, and he has Pharaoh, he has Latios, and Slowking. And Slowking especially being not only very threatening versus my team, but yeah, if he's some type of set that needs to set up, then Manaphy can become setup fodder for it. And Slowking can potentially beat it 1v1. Depends on rules and Scald Burns and stuff like that. So I don't really want anything taking Draco, and I don't want to go out to Ferrothorn right away or Hippowdon because the Latios can carry things like Surf or HP Fire as like coverage moves. So in case he wants to play aggressive right away, I'm going to go out to Manaphy first and scout for that. But he actually goes for Trick right off the bat, probably trying to cripple my Ferrothorn or my Hippowdon, one of the two, as my Manaphy ends up getting the choice specs, which is really good for me because my Manaphy is not really going to be gaining an opportunity to set up in this game with the threat of Slowking, like I said. So it's better for me because I can fire off more powerful Scalds to do more damage and hopefully get burns. By the way, Scald is not burning every time for me. I don't understand what the problem is, what I'm doing wrong. But yeah, Ferrothorn comes in no burn, but it takes quite a bit. So that Ferrothorn, at least to me, is definitely looking more physically invested, or physically defensive invested. Ferrothorn is just going to take the opportunity to lay down a layer of Spike with my Manaphy forced out. And I'm Air Balloon Excadrill, so the hazard's really going to bother me until my balloon gets ripped, but it's still annoying because I'm going to have to spin those away eventually. Well, not necessarily, but it's just annoying, especially with rocks and sand. So I'm going to take the opportunity that I have here to finally get this Mega off. I say finally, it's only turn 4. But I'm just going to go ahead and get the Will-O-Wisp off because nothing on his team really wants to take the Will-O-Wisp. Except for maybe like Latios, but Latios I'm not too concerned about because it only has leftovers right now. It's not going to have the Life Orb or the specs to power up its damage. And then Volcarona I win against anyway, so I'm going to go to Excadrill right here to dodge the predicted EQ. And then if he wants to get up his rocks, then I can obviously spin those away. Because like I said, I do have the balloon. And he's actually going to make the double out here to Slowking. I guess predicting my Manaphy not wanting to take Spec Scalds. But I am in Excadrill and this isn't good for me. Or maybe he predicted me to go to Excadrill. No, he probably won't because there's no way for him to know that I have Balloon. Because literally the difference between me having Balloon and Life Orb is whether or not Excadrill can actually switch into that. So once again, Slowking can run a various number of coverage moves that can potentially mess up like my two other primary switch-ins being Charizard and Ferrothorn. So I'm going to play Manaphy in here, hoping to catch him playing aggressive when we see leftovers. So Specs and more than likely Nasty Room as well has been ruled out. Once again trying to catch him slipping, going for Fire Blast. And we end up seeing Calm Mind. So because it's Calm Mind, it's probably Psyshock. Again, I can't be too sure. It could still have the Flamethrower, the Fire Blast, and the back as the coverage move. But we can assume Psyshock because it is very helpful to beating the other Calm Mind users. Like if you're a Calm Mind user and you have Psyshock, there's very little reason not to use Psyshock, in my opinion at least. Unless you have like a good reason, but yeah, usually and we end up seeing the Psyshock there anyway, and because Charizard in X form is really bulky, like that Psyshock still doesn't do that much. Unfortunately, I don't have leftovers because I'm a Mega, which is one of the few things that keeps Megas balanced, which is why Mega Race like stupid, but that's a whole nother point. So I'm going to take the opportunity to roost up right here. And Kratosmana smartly just goes for the Calm Mind with this Slowking, predicting me to roost up right there, so that the Psyshocks will be doing about half, maybe a little over half, I don't remember. Because I have to Dragon Tail this out here. But he switches, which is very peculiar because Slowking really doesn't mind getting burned, and he can miss a lot of potential damage right there with Psyshock on my Charizard, which, like I said, that was just a very peculiar move. I don't understand. I don't understand why you would switch out in that situation. Maybe he was afraid that I was something like Dragon Dance and Will-O-Wisp, and didn't want my Charizard setting up a Dragon Dance and sweeping him right there. Although I've never seen Dragon Dance Will-O-Wisp, but I guess it could work out, so maybe he was afraid of that. Although he's also already seen Roost, so I don't know. I don't imagine that DD with Will-O-Wisp, which first of all sounds stupid, but I can't imagine that it would work with Roost as well. So I don't know. Maybe I just don't know things, but that play made no sense to me. But anyways, some plays went on. Hippowdon is in here trying to be fat, but rocks are not going to go up because he needs this Hippowdon pretty healthy. And that's pretty good for my Charizard because it can just sit in there and do Charizard things. So yeah, Volcarona ends up coming in. I believe I either Will-O-Wisp or I Dragon Tail here again. Probably Dragon Tail. No, Earthquake. I guess I didn't want to use Dragon Tail PP. Alright, I can respect that. I'm gonna speed this battle up just slightly though. So yeah. Hippowdon's gonna probably slack off right here. Because he needs this Hippowdon to be relatively healthy, but he actually goes for Toxic right here. I go to Manaphy to threaten Hippowdon out, because my Scald will be able to 2-hit KO. And if he wants to get up Stealth Rock right there, then obviously Hippowdon's just getting weakened. But like I said, he just goes for Toxic, expecting me to stay in with Charizard, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad play because the Hippowdon is burned. But at the same time, like, I don't know why Toxic Hippowdon is gaining usage. Someone tell me what that does, because to me it seems like if you're not gonna run Whirlwind, all you're doing is just making your Hippowdon like taunt fodder and like able to get set up on by like Scizor and stuff like that, like setup bait for Mega Scizor. So that's just my opinion, but I don't know. So at this point I'm just gonna go ahead and sack Manaphy. I don't really have a safe switch into Latios, so I just wanted to sack it, and he ends up going to Ferrothorn, and then realizes what I'm doing. I'm just sacking Manaphy off. Again, Ferrothorn doesn't get burned, which would have been very helpful, but it's whatever. But Manaphy was definitely my least useful member, so I don't really mind. And what it does is it allows my Alakazam a safe switch, and I can just fire off a Shadow Ball. And Hippowdon goes down, so no rocks for him, which is very good for me. Because it gives my Charizard a lot of breathing room, and Charizard is an important member in this matchup. So I do not think that Kratosmana played Hippowdon very effectively. I think that maybe he could have brought it in on some other stuff to try and get it slacked off. Or maybe should have just gone straight for the slack off when it was at half health, and instead of trying to go for the Toxic. But it's whatever. So my Hippowdon, like I said, has a lot of special defense investment. Like I think I'm hitting 299 special defense. No, that's max. I think so. I'm not hitting that much, but the point is I have a lot of special defense investment, so I didn't expect that EQ to do that much. So I don't get rocks up, which is bad for me, because that makes Volcarona slightly more of a problem. I'm not really too worried though. Also because this Hippowdon is dead and my Hippowdon is dead, Excadrill for the most part is useless. Not entirely though, but again I'm not really worried because I still have Zam and I still have Zardex at pretty decent health. So I don't think that Volcarona is really a problem. and I guess he can tell that I'm Life Orb Zam, so he takes the opportunity to try and set up with Volcarona. But like I said, my Zard has a lot of special defense, so I'm not going to allow it the opportunity. He makes a smart double though and goes to Diancie, and like I said, I played Hippowdon right there really bad, because I also should have noticed that because he went for Earth Power, that he did not have the HP Fire, or it would be very unlikely for him to, so I could have preserved my own Hippowdon, so that was a slight misplay on my part as well, but it ends up not really mattering. Because at the end of the day I was able to get momentum, and I just go for knockoff because it'll knock out Diancie. And if he wants to make some random chokesy wokesy switch, then something gets their item knocked off. But this lets Volcarona come in, and now my Charizard has to come in on spikes again. So if crits or super duper high damage rolls come in, then this potentially could be very bad for me. Because I'm basically relying on Charizard being able to take this hit. The good news is, though, is that I can just go right for Dragon Tail because his remaining two mons, being Ferrothorn and Slowking, are slower than me, so I can go straight for the Dragon Tail, not having to mess around with roosting, and then relying on more crits and more Spadef drops. Potentially messing me up. I could just Dragon Tail that right away. I needed to hit that Dragon Tail, otherwise I just lost the game right there. I didn't really freak out about that much, but I just did right now, because yeah, the Volcarona is able to get out of there, and I'm still alive. So he's gonna try and Leech Seed me. Plays that really smart. In the next sequence of turns with him playing around with his remaining 3 mons versus my Zard X are pretty cool stuff. It's a little bit boring, but so I'm gonna put it on fast mode. But it's basically me having to play around with this Leech Seed and him trying to get his Volcarona to as much HP as possible, me trying to catch Ferrothorn and Slowking, and just not really giving him any free setups right there. Or me trying my best not to give him any free setups with Slowking or Volcarona, and just all around to like harass his team. And we're both trying to maneuver as much as possible to get in the most advantageous position. Obviously, I'm spewing shit out my ass right now, but I think right here, well, let me pause it real quick because now is where I switch at. So this Leech Seed is really pressuring me, and I want to keep my Zard at a pretty decent amount of HP again to try and take on Volcarona. Like, can I hover? That's actually not a decent amount of HP. So that's, I don't know, just the hazards were annoying me, so I guess I was just like, Excadrill is my least useless member. Oh no. Alright, here's my plan. Okay, so besides the Leech Seed annoying me, I realized that Zam was in a very juicy position right now. Because does it show how much health Volcarona is at? But Volcarona, I think, is almost at full, but I guess I was relying on Zard. I don't know. It's kind of, I still think I should have gone for the Roost right there once and then switched to Excadrill. That probably would have been the better play, but what I was trying to do was get enough damage in Volcarona to put it in a Focus Blast range for Zam, so that, because I was just trying to win with Zam. That was essentially my game plan. So I think I should have roosted there first and then gone to Excadrill. That would have been smarter, but I didn't do that because I'm not smart. So now this Ferrothorn is within Focus Blast range. Actually, I think if I get like a Superman roll, but that's only if it has a lot of Spadef. But I don't think this Ferrothorn has a lot of Spadef, so I think that my Alakazam should be able to take it out with Focus Blast so long as I hit. And I know Slowking is more than likely coming in, but I just decided to play it safe, not stray too far away from the game plan, and just go to Alakazam right here. And do I stay in Shadow Ball? Yes, I do. And then right there I see that Slowking actually takes less than half from that, which kind of made me a little disappointed in my game plan. Because I knew Slowking was bulky, but I didn't think it was that bulky. So that definitely messed up my game plan. Because I was expecting to 2-KO Slowking with ease, but that didn't happen. So now I have to bring in Charizard, and he's going to bring in Ferrothorn to try and pressure me with Leech Seed again. But I can take the opportunity to roost up now, and yeah, Ferrothorn's going to be able to pressure me with Leech Seed, but he misses right there. But do I switch out to my Ferrothorn next? I might. Actually, I think I might stay in because now he's out of Focus Blast range. So I just decide to get the burn onto Ferrothorn, and then I think I switch out to my Ferrothorn, and I just try. I think I do like stacking spikes and stuff because I want to pressure Slowking, so that Slowking, if it has to switch into my Alakazam after taking an attack and then a layer of spike, it will be in Shadow Ball range even if he sets up a Calm Mind. So I think that's what my game plan is. Now that I have Ferrothorn burned, I'm just going to try and set up a layer of spike to pressure Slowking. And he just knocks me off. I might knock him off first, I don't remember. I think, okay, I do knock him off. I probably should have set up a spike there first. Once again, just to pressure Slowking, but in case he wanted to go directly to Volcarona for some reason, I guess I was just like, well, let me just go ahead and knock you off, or if you want to go directly to Slowking, then I'm just knock you off. So yeah, now I get up that layer of spike that I needed, which was important for me to take out Slowking. And my Charizard is at a pretty high amount of health, and he doesn't have the third layer spike down, so spikes really aren't that annoying. So Volcarona at this point still doesn't really pose that much of a problem to me. I think I'm just gonna roost right here and once again just keep playing it safe. But at this point I don't really need to play it safe. I just need to get him, I think, below, I want to say 75%, which is why I'm gonna continuously Earthquake right here, because I don't want to use up my Dragon Tails and I don't want to miss Dragon Tails. I just want to stall him out of roosts, because if he starts setting up like Quiver Dances, then I can just Dragon Tail him out. But if he's not going to Dragon Tail, or if he's not going to Quiver Dance, then I'm just going to keep going for EQ right here to get Volcarona into Psyshock range, and I just don't want to miss Dragon Tail. So right there I predict him to roost, and Dragon Tail probably, or no, Dragon Tail would take him to a point where if he roosted and then he got phased out, then the spike would end up taking him out. So that was why I did that. So I see what he's trying to do right here. He's trying to make it to where it's Last Mon's Slowking on my Charizard, so he gets the Combined up on my Charizard so that my Alakazam can't 2-hit KO with the Shadow Ball anymore, unless I end up getting really lucky. So I just decide to go sack my Ferrothorn, and if he wants to go to Slowking, I do have knockoff to pressure it, so he won't be getting lefties recovery, and Leech Seed. So hopefully that plus Leech Seed plus maybe some lucky Spit F drops with Shadow Ball is essentially what I'm hoping on, which really isn't that good to hope on in hindsight, but that's if he switched directly to Slowking right there, which he didn't do, which really wasn't the safe play at the end of the day. So my Ferrothorn is just going to die. I just end up getting another layer spike because whatever. But yeah, as you see, Shadow Ball does a significant amount, and even after a Combined, that should be able to KO if I get a low damage roll, I believe. I'm too lazy to calc it because I ended up winning. If I lost, like if I was in Kratosmana's position, I would have definitely calced because I'm Salty Baby Rage. But because I ended up winning, I'm too lazy to calc. But yeah, I would imagine that only a low roll would kill. But even then, he's gonna have to play around with Shadow Ball, Spit F drops, and everything like that. And then maybe, I think Slowking has a lot of Spit F at the same time too. So I think he might also be playing around with Psyshock doing a significant amount. So maybe if he lets him get low enough, then Psyshock can do some damage. So I don't really know if like rolls or anything came into play, but I don't believe they do. Or I don't believe they did, but they might have. So pretty solid game. Anyways, I enjoyed myself while I was playing it, even though it was like a long game, but it wasn't like pointless stall. It was us like trying to outmaneuver each other, because he had a mon that was threatening to me, I had a couple of mons that were threatening to him, and we both I think, used them to as good as we could, except when his Slowking set up on my Zardex. I don't think he should have switched out right there, because I think that Psyshock damage might have gotten rid of my Zardex, which might have allowed his Volcarona to actually beat me. So I think that was his main misplay. Maybe it might not have mattered because I might have played Zard differently, but I think that definitely could have potentially helped him right there, but because that play doesn't make any sense to me. So, like I said, if someone can explain that, then I would appreciate that. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed, and peace.